the purpose of government ought to be to protect liberty. But once they embark on trying to make us personally better people and to make the world safe for democracy, which we've been doing ever since Woodrow Wilson, and making the economy fair, they embark on something that sounds good, and it sounds like they are well motivated, and many of them may well be. But what they're doing is they're rejecting the principle that individuals have responsibility for themselves, and that solving these problems would be much better if it was left to the people. But every time government takes a certain responsibility away from us and puts the responsibility on government to do it, and they become the nanny state, they can't do that without taking away some of our freedoms. Why freedom is something to be admired and strive for is the fact that human mankind's the goal should be that of each and every one of us to strive for excellence, to improve ourselves, and to strive for virtue, and pursue whatever religious beliefs that we have, absent any government control. And that can only be done under the conditions that were given us. The Constitution was far from a perfect document, but it happened to have been the best document ever devised as a contract between the people and the government. And we have thrived in this country. We have benefited. We still benefit. We still have great traditions. But the concern that all of us have now is that, are the conditions altered? Have they been changed over these last 100 years? And they have. They haven't just disappeared in the last 4 or 6 years or with this administration. There's a steady erosion of what is happening. You can look at the foreign policy has changed for almost 100 years. You have the monetary policy since 1913, the income tax since 1913, the runaway welfare state since the Depression. So it's taken a long time. But we really have a significant erosion of those principles. And in the meantime, we have become very dependent. We have become borrowers. We aren't the producers, and we aren't the loaners anymore. We do not lend to the world, we borrow from the world. And it's been a benefit to us on the short run, but not an advantage because we have become complacent and dependent. So today, we can't run our military, and we can't have an entitlement system without borrowing almost $3 billion a day, and most of it coming from China. What an irony that our dependency is on China now, and where are our jobs going? To China and the Far East. So today, we're in much worse shape than we were in the 1970s. We had guns and butter in the 60s. We had the bad decade of the 70s, high inflation, unemployment, difficult times, nearly runaway inflation, difficult times with the dollar in 1979 and 1980. Those conditions all still exist, but I believe they're a lot worse. The dollar bubble is much bigger. Our ability to produce, our car companies don't produce, and our steel companies are gone, and we depend on borrowing, and yet the entitlement system grows. So we elect conservatives to go in office. 1994, year 2000. So we finally get well, I should qualify that. The Republicans get in charge, and the neoconservatives take over, and they don't even believe the way we do. So they believe in entitlements. So if you understand where the neocons came from, they came from the left-wing part of the Democratic Party. But they believed in military adventurism. They believed in preemptive war and spreading by force our goodness. At the same time, they believed in entitlements. So that's their philosophy, and that's what we got. And now we have expanded our empire that we can't afford, and our efforts are becoming jeopardized. At the same time, we're up to about $70 trillion of entitlements that we have obligated for, and there's no way we can pay for it. This is the reason why I think young people are flocking to the campaign, because a lot of young people are waking up. And they say that young people aren't interested, and they're not interested in politics, and they don't vote. Well, I suspect they're getting to the point where they're starting to see the bills coming their way, that our generation has sort of dumped on them, and they're starting to realize it. So whether it's their loss of personal liberty, their personal privacy, and the attack proposed on the internet, the fact that they could be drafted, the selective service is still there, the war continues, and they know about this indebtedness. And they're wondering what's happening, and they want some straight answers. And they seem to accept the fact when I talk to them that we do have problems, we should deal with them, but I'm not going up there to get more stuff. You know, to hand out, it's not a freebie situation. We have to face up to our troubles, and that we can all survive and we can all do better if we know and understand how freedom works and how we have more prosperity. I am so convinced